Hey, Extraordinary Courage Tribe. We're here to talk a bit about the first step in flow, which is selflessness. And man, if you can get clear on this one, it will change your life. Now, to be clear, you don't really ever get this one. It is layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. So now, heads up and full disclosure, in this one, I will be having a little bit more of a discussion from a Christian perspective. And when I say Christian, what I mean by that is I believe in a God who is the embodiment of unconditional love, who loves me unconditionally and has never been disappointed in me. So I realize that for some people, the word Christian means you grew up in an environment where they told you if your skirt was too long, you're going to hell or whatever, some stupid stuff. So maybe we first have a discussion about that. A generalized thing I will say is this: real high quality leadership is in very short supply. Okay. And if I'm a leader of an organization, but I don't have good leadership skills to maintain organizational cohesion and get people to do what I need them to do, then you have to resort to guilt and shame to control and manipulate people. Okay, and you see that in any work environments, in businesses, in relationships, and in religions. Now, the added compounding issue in religion is, I'm giving, when I go to a church or religious institution, consciously, subconsciously, I'm much more giving the person in charge much more power to give me identity than I would at a job. Does that make sense? So when you have the currency of guilt and shame and you're in a religious environment, the impact, the damaging impact on you is 10x what it would be if it was just a job. You're like, oh, my boss is an a-hole, I'm quitting, right? Like, when you're in a religious environment, compounding it is that, here's the deal. Like, we'll go kind of the extreme. A cult, what they do is people are desperate for connection and community, right? It's like, why do we build a tribe? Because people want community and connection. Okay, so what cults will do is they will create an environment where there's really amazing connection and community. Then they can use that as a threat. You understand? If you don't do this, if you do that for too long, then we'll put shame on you. What does shame mean? Shame means that what you're doing or not doing dictates your value. Okay, and if your performance is too poor for too long, then we are going to remove you from the community. And that is at a very basic level, we have a desire / need, desperate want for community. Okay. And so when you have that situation, then people will do or believe goofy stuff just to maintain the connection. You follow me? So that then becomes a problem, right? So a little bit, here's another way to say it. Using the currency of guilt and shame is manipulation, and I would consider it a type of witchcraft, right? So conviction says what you are doing is not worthy of fundamentally who you are. Okay. Condemnation says what you're doing or not doing is fundamentally determines your value, and currently your performance is low, therefore your value is low. Okay. So things that try to put shame on you are they're also a voice that is trying to tell you what you're worth, right? So anything that can tell you what you're worth owns you. Does that make sense? So shame is the lowest energetic thing on the map of consciousness. Okay, it's like to avoid shame, here's one way to say it. You'll notice if you look at the map of consciousness, and we can have a discussion about that later, you'll notice on the map of consciousness, shame is the lowest thing, and the emotion connected it to is humiliation. And I'll give you an insight. Rage is almost always connected to humiliation. Why is that? People like doing insane, crazy stuff, murdering somebody. Why? Because some aspect of their experience and interaction with somebody, they feel their value and their identity being threatened. What do we mean? Oh, I only feel if you do or don't do that, then I feel like I'm worthless. To feel worth something, this has to happen. You have to do this. You can't do that, right? You can't cut me off in traffic, because if you cut me off in traffic, it means like you don't value my opinion. You don't think I'm respected, and now now my identity is drowning. Okay, and if you've ever taken a lifeguard class, they go, hey, be very careful of saving people who are drowning, because they will do anything to survive, including drown you. So typically people will do goofy stuff to maintain their value and their identity, right? And so if you have a better understanding of this, then you can start understanding, why is it so difficult for me to do or not do something? Like, I know I should be doing it, but I just can't bring myself to. Well, at a certain subconscious level, sometimes what's happening is it's you're afraid of potential shame, right? Again, identity is where you get your value. You can get it one or two ways, right? You can get your value / identity from how am I performing, how are people treating me, how are institutions honoring me, or you can get it from something that makes you bulletproof. For me, I connected to that God's love defines me. I believe God reached out to have a relationship with me and paid an ultimate price for that, right? And then my value is set. It's not going to change today, tomorrow. Doesn't matter what I do or don't do. It's boom, it's bulletproof, right? And then I can have peace. People can be nasty to me, and I just look at them and go, oh, interesting. Like, why? Because I've determined that this person or my personal performance or this institution does not have the ability to tell me, ability / authority to tell me what I'm worth, because I'm very clear on where my value does come from. You follow me so far? So one of the big challenges in this is that your nervous system, your subconscious, really rather prefers a lot of clarity on understanding before we have agreement. What do I mean? I'll give you a weird analogy. It's a kind of a real estate analogy, but stick with me. Okay. So if I own a house and I think it's worth $500,000, I go to sell it, I could put it on the market, someone offers me $450,000, another person offers me $5 million, what should I do? Well, you're like, we'll take the $5 million. Yeah, but I don't understand it. Shouldn't I tell them they're wrong? My brain can't wrap itself around why they would value the home that much. Well, how about you let go of the need to understand and you say yes. Yes, you're right. And I can sign documents, legally agree with evaluation, with not clarity of understanding it, right? So this is a very important thing as you move forward in terms of selflessness is, look, you can agree with the fact that divine love defines you without having a real clear grasp on why God loves you unconditionally, right? If God says to you, you know what? I love you and I've never been disappointed in you. And you're like, I don't think you're paying attention, right? You're like, I have the records, right? Maybe check your own data at the door and go, you're right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, so you can receive and agree with evaluation without understanding. Okay. Does that make sense? So, I I want to give a little bit clearer dive into a Christian perspective on this. Okay, so so you sell your house for $500,000. Cool. No, $5 million. You decide to move to Aspen, Colorado. Guess what? The average single family home in Aspen is $8 million. Right? You're like, I don't understand that value. But it doesn't matter. The buyer determines value. Okay. And in the 1950s, a couple from Louisiana, they traveled to Europe. While in Europe, they bought a painting for $60, and they brought it home. They enjoyed it. They passed away. Someone bought it from their estate for about $10,000. That person spent 6 years validating, restoring, uncovering something in the painting, and then sold it to a Swiss art collector for, drumroll please, $88 million. The Swiss guys sold it to a Russian for $129 million. The Russian sold it to a Saudi Arabian prince for $451 million. And that's how a Muslim man bought a painting of Jesus by Leonardo da Vinci for $451 million. But what did the painting do or not do to increase its value? Well, nothing. The buyer determined the value. And from a perspective of the Christian faith, in the Christian faith, God desired to buy back relationship with you by buying with you with the price of his, sacrificing the price of his son to do it, which doesn't make sense, but to participate in the benefit of that, you still need to agree without understanding or grasping it. Does that make sense? So with selflessness, start to identify these voices that are trying to trash talk you, to intimidate you, these outside voices, and get better at going, oh, you're trying to make me feel bad. Oh, you're trying to put pressure on me, right? And you'll develop over time the ability to hear these voices, and you'll slowly develop an intolerance to their influence in your life. Anyways, we'll spend a lot more time talking about this because it is a deep subject, and it is the step number one that you got to get super clear on to really flow. Anyways, hope this is helpful. Make a comment below on what was helpful about this, what didn't make sense. Maybe you have a good understanding of this. Maybe share some of your understanding. Maybe share some resources you have that has helped you in some of these areas. And I think in the future I'll share some. Ministers, I feel, do a very good job on teaching on this, different resources, things like that. Anyways, hope you have a great day.